Hi, my name is Judge. 9 more new Maw and Disorder miniset cards have been released. Let's dive in and take a look at them and see how good they are going to be in the Hearthstone arena. First up, we've got Imposter. 2 mana, 1/1 Demon Battlecry. Choose a friendly imp, transform into a copy of it. So 2 mana 1/1 is not very good on its own. So you'd better have some good imps in the deck. The bad news is this card is very inconsistent. If there's not a lot of imps in the meta, then this is going to be useless. And I'm kind of leaning that you don't really want to take that risk, and this card is going to be bad. But if you're in a imp-heavy meta, you don't need that good of an imp to make it worth 2 mana. If you've got an imp that's a 4/4 imp or a 3/3 imp, then this is well worth 2 mana. So that's awesome. You got Ring Matrons in the meta, then this card can be absolutely insane. That card's insane for 6 mana. It's going to be even more broken at 2 mana. Really depends how many imps you see in the meta, because we get a random set of cards in Arena. It can be really old sets, it can be newer sets, so who knows how many imps we're going to get. But this isn't going to be something you take early on in the draft. It's way too inconsistent, and it's just a waste of space if you don't find those imps. If you're already very imp heavy, then this could actually be fine. But it's too inconsistent to really consider to be good. But you don't need to hit that good of an imp. You hit a 2/4 Imp Gang boss or something, and it's very, very good. So if you already have the imps, go for it. Next up, we've got another Warlock card, 2 mana Arson Accusation. Spell, choose a minion, destroy it after your hero takes damage. It's a fire spell, and it's insane. This card is Assassinate, except you also draw a card, which is nuts. Getting to do those two things for so cheap. Maybe you also have some synergy with it where you don't even need to use your hero power, right? Hero power, this is, right, order, lol. I bet, play this and then hero power after is already amazing if you have a Flame Imp, or if you have a Raised Dead or something like that, another bit of synergy, then this card is even more busted. Worst case with this card is you are drawing it when you're already very low on health and you can't really be affording to take that damage. But that's going to be a rare case that playing this for so cheap and drawing a card is not worth the damage. If it's going to be such a low percentage of time, this card is going to be absolutely fantastic. Premium removal. Reminds me a bit of Brittlebone Explorer, except it's cheaper, and the draw is just fantastic. It's really, really, really strong. Lastly, we get another Warlock spell. It is Habeas Corpses. Am I pronouncing that right? Habeas Corpses? Maybe? What are we doing? Discover a friendly minion to resurrect and give it Rush. It dies at the end of the turn. It's a shadow spell, and when I first saw this today when I was streaming, I thought, that doesn't look very good. And I kind of still lean that way a little bit, but I think it's a lot better now that I've looked at it a while and thought about it than I initially gave it credit for. So I compare this a lot to Shadow Bolt, where it 3 mana deal 4, which is fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine. But then you kind of just get more upsides from there. Yeah, you're going to run into the times where you hit all your 2-drops and 3-drops, and it's either a 3 mana deal 2, a 3 mana deal 3, and that sucks. But most of the time, since it's Discover and not random, I think that you're generally going to get some fair hits. Of course, it's deck dependent. If you're running a pure Zoolock with like nothing over 4 mana, yeah, that's going to be terrible. But if you're running a standard mid-range deck, you should be able to hit a 4 or a 5, something with 4 or 5 attack fairly often. Maybe a 3-drop with a certain Death Rattle. There's lots of different things. Maybe you've got a combo with it to actually just destroy that minion. Could be pretty cool, little fringe. But I think that this has so many different uses, so you can hit so many different potential strong minions. Hit a Cleave, maybe. Hit your Lake Thresher. That it's going to be a little better than I gave it credit for initially. Still not insane. Not even close to as good of a removal as Arson Accusation. But I think this card is going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine. Often your deck is going to be just normal mid-range, and it's going to be okay. Next up, we move on to a Rogue Secret. Perjury is 2 mana, and it's a secret that reads, when your turn starts, discover and cast a secret from another class. So right away, this reminds me of our lovely friend, the 2 mana 2/2, discover a secret from another class. because we've seen a lot of that card in Arena this particular meta, so we kind of know what it feels like to be discovering secrets from other classes. We kind of know the power level of that. And of course, it's RNG. You're going to have your hits, you're going to have your misses. Obviously, you want to hit a mage secret and save mana. You get all paladin secrets, you're going to be sad. Some hunter secrets are definitely worth paying for perjury. Some really good ones, freezing trap, for example. But mostly you want to hit those good mage secrets. So this becomes a risky card, but it's really on theme with Rogue. It's a fun card, and I think it's going to be good. You're going to get your low rolls, but for just 2 mana for a secret, you get to discover. You can choose a secret, even if you're just finding, say, an Oh My Yogg or a Reckoning. Sometimes you can find a secret that's just very particularly good on the board presented to you. So you get to kind of like make that call at the time instead of just being stuck with the one in your deck. I think it's going to be strong. I don't think it's going to be insane, but I think it's going to be just a fun, good secret to include in a fun style of Rogue. Another Rogue card, this time a minion, 6 mana, 4/4, Scribbling Stenographer. It's a 6 mana, 4/4 with Rush. That costs 1 less for each card you've played this turn. Definitely, scary stuff for Constructed, maybe going for 0 mana 4/4s. Lots of 0 mana minions have been nerfed in the past, and this one definitely is one that can cost 0. In Arena, that's just going to be too difficult to pull off. You're not going to be holding this long enough. You're not going to be holding other cards long enough. Maybe you can get this down to a 4 mana 4/4 Rush. I don't think that's good enough anymore. I think it used to be, but I don't think that's strong enough anymore. The amount of times it's going to be a 3 mana 4/4 Rush is just too few. And it'd be good then, but not even game-breaking, not even insane. So I think it's just not even close to worth the risk. I'm going to say there's going to be a bad Arena card, and I would stay away from it. Moving on, we've got 3 new Priest cards, starting with a 1 mana Shadow Spell, Theft Accusation. Choose a minion, destroy it after you play a card copied from the opponent. So, seeing a theme with all these accusation cards, some form of removal, choosing a minion, and then doing some sort of thing, pulling off a condition to actually destroy the minion. I think this condition is definitely the most difficult out of the conditions we've seen from Rogue and Warlock. And for that reason, despite how it always seems like Priest really steals non-stop from the opponent, I'm going to say that most of the time, this is not going to be good. I think it's inconsistent enough to say it's not really worth a spot in your hand. If you draft it late, it's not worth a pick 1 to 15. If you have a ton of, ways to steal from the opponent in your deck already coming into pick 15 to 20, sure, then it very well could be great. Still might be a dead card in 1 or 2 games, but it could be great. It's one of those that's going to be amazing in some decks and just terrible in others, but it's a pretty big condition when Priest doesn't really need help with finding removal. It already has a ton of removal, so why pick a card that is going to be a risk to just be a dead card? So I don't think it's going to be technically a good card. It'll be good in a lot of decks, though, that have the ability to steal from the opponent. Another spell, we have 3 mana Clear Conscience. Give a friendly minion +2/+3, and only you can target this with spells and hero powers. So 3 mana +2/+3 is not super great compared to something like Blessing of Kings. Compare this to Apotheosis pretty well. But Apotheosis was, the lifesteal for a comeback mechanic, and was probably a little more annoying than this. I don't think this is really playable on turn 3 or 4 or too early. I guess maybe on very particular minions, but the buff doesn't seem that good. Where this is going to thrive is on big minions in the late game. I don't think this is a tempo card. I think this is like a late game tempo / just creating a bigger boy card. So you play this on your Onyx Mage Scribe and then start going face with it. You play this on your 8-drop and you start going face with it. Something like that. Don't think the buff is that good. I don't think the buff is that good. And the effective can't be targeted by spells and hero powers is sometimes good on minions, sometimes not. It's going to thrive for sure on high health taunt minions, and it'll be great there, but when do you always have those high health taunt minions? And if it's not good on other minions, is it worth picking up? This is going to be another one that's going to be super annoying sometimes, but then pretty bad sometimes. Same as Apotheosis. The last Priest card is a 4 mana 2/6 taunt. It's a dragon, which is always scary for Priest, and it's got a death rattle. Copy a random card from your opponent's hand. This card looks insane. This card looks extremely good. This is classic Priest stuff. Just Thievery, Dragon Synergy, High Health Taunt. Really glad this isn't a 3/6, because it needs to be understated with this kind of tag and effect. And it's very, very good. You can get cards like Grave Rune to steal multiples. You can give it Reborn. You can resurrect this, and you can start stealing and stealing and stealing, maybe making Theft Accusation a little more plausible. This card looks like a card that I am never going to skip. This seems like a near auto pick to me. To be fair, Priest has a lot of those, so I guess you can't really call it an auto pick. Priest has quite a few of those. But this card looks insane, and I expect as a common in the new mini set, we are going to see a lot of this when we are playing against Priest. Looks like an incredible card. Lastly, we have one more card. It is a Demon Hunter legendary minion, Prosecutor Meltranix. It is a demon, and it has Battlecry. Your opponent can only play their left and rightmost cards on their next turn. So, big disruption card from Prosecutor here. Reminds me immediately of Forensic Duster, a card that just comes down and makes you go, oh, I can't play what I was going to play. I have to figure out a new turn. And the question is, how much does this affect your turn compared to Duster? Because Duster is an amazing 3. It's one of the best common 3s. So how does this compare to it? I'm assuming that when you play your leftmost card, that you'll then be able to once again play your new leftmost card, and it'll just be permanent. I don't think it's just 2 cards. I'm going to go with that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to work, because it'll now be your leftmost card. So if you played in the late game, you can just play a good amount from right to left. Of course, there might be some cards you don't want to play, some removal you don't want to play. If this is played on curve, where I think it's going to thrive the most, then there's a chance you skip your turn, and then there's a chance it doesn't do anything. So definitely high RNG card as to positioning of their hand, and it is understated. Unlike Forensic Duster, it does have 1 less stat than a premium, or not premium, average statted 4 would have, which good. I think this card is going to be just a slightly worse version of Forensic Duster. Forensic Duster's debuff is too consistent. This one is very high rolly, coin flippy. So I think this is just going to be a bit of a worse version of Forensic Duster. Still annoying to get hit by, but for a legendary pick, and maybe not something too exciting to pick up, considering there are common cards that literally do this job, but better. All right, and those are our 9 cards we have for today. We're going to be looking into more tomorrow for sure as we continue with the reveals. Let me know what you think about my opinions here in the comments below. We're not going to be right about all of them, right? I want to know what you think. What ones did I screw up on? You tell me in the comments below after finished hitting that thumbs up button and that subscribe button. And I will see you in the next review.
My name is Judge.
Whose name is Judge?
My name is.
Whose name is Judge?
My name is
That's a silly name.
Judge.
Okay.